Hello, a very warm welcome to all of you on this session on SAP Quality Management. Focus in this session will be specifically on implementation of quality management or QM as it is called in discrete manufacturing. So, discrete manufacturing seems to be one of the types of manufacturing scenarios. So, you must be aware that in the industrial sectors, depending on the type of industry, there can be multiple scenarios. It can be a continuous one, it can be a discrete one. So we'll see in detail what discrete manufacturing is all about and how the implementation of quality management module can be done in a discrete scenario. So just a question for you. When you say a food industry, so is it a discrete manufacturing or is it a process one? And secondly, when you say automobile industry, so does it fall under discrete manufacturing or is it a continuous one? So just hold those questions and I believe you will be in a position to answer them when the session gets over or when we discuss about the scenarios for discrete manufacturing. The goals for the session are displayed before you now. So when the session gets completed, you should be in a position to carry out the integration of QM component in production planning processes. So as you are aware, SAP has a modular structure and it has got different modules. For example, materials management, production planning, sales and distribution, finance and controlling, plant maintenance, and QM seems to be just one of them. But QM, that is quality management, is a very critical module more from the point of view of production planning processes, because whenever an industry which is into production produces some deliverables, then they have to go through rigorous quality check criteria. So QM is an umbrella word which comprises of many things like quality inspection, quality control. So we'll see in details about this. So we should be in a position to tell how those QM components will get integrated into production planning processes. Apart from this, you should be in a position to say what are the some QM specific features of QI. So this may seem to be a confusing statement to be made right now, but during the session we'll see what is QM and what is QI. So what are the QM specific features of QI for orders, and what are the uses of QM functions for us? So whenever you are trying to implement the quality management modules, what are the different functionalities which QM has and what can be uses for those? And nonetheless, we'll also see the different important settings for QM processes. So there can be multiple n number of settings which will be required to set the QM module right for the business to be used, but we'll start to see what will be important settings for those. And what we'll try to do in the session is that based on the different manufacturing types, as I told you earlier, so based on the different manufacturing types, how the integration of QM component happens in PP, that is production planning. And you are aware that the quality check process or quality management process as such should be carried out not only after the production process but should be during the process also. So an important thing which is going on right now in the quality field is that the focus is shifting from the inspection of the deliverables to having a thorough verification of the processes which are used to produce those deliverables. So not only after production, the focus has to be during production also. So we have to plan and we have to perform inspection during and after the production processes. One important concept which we'll be seeing will be about control charts. So how the control charts can be used for monitoring purpose. So you may have heard about this term, but control chart is a tool and technique which is used to find out whether a particular process is in control or out of control. So we'll see this in detail, but just to give you an idea, we define something called as mean, and we define the control limits, and we define the specification limits. So control limits can be lower and upper, the specification limits can be lower and upper. So based on the plotting of the points or the observations or the readings uh, and a pattern which happens over there, we derive that a particular process is in control or not. For example, if the points are out of the control limits, then obviously the process is out of control. But we'll also see that there can be a scenario wherein the points can be within the control limits, and then also the process may seem to be or maybe actually out of control, which will lead us to find out the measures and to find out the causes which can be there, which led to process being out of control. So we'll see the 7 point feature, and we'll try to see the patterns, the 3 point pattern, 2 point pattern. So we'll see this in detail. And apart from this, we'll also see how to plan and process the inspections in repetitive manufacturing. So repetitive manufacturing, or REM as it is called, is an important concept to be understood over here. So how to process the inspections in that scenario. Apart from this, we'll also see something called as calibration inspection. So how to plan and perform a calibration inspection for that matter. We'll try to see that also. Now this slide is about to tell you what will be the contents which will be there. So these are the major points which we'll cover during this session. We'll see the inspection during production. We'll see quality management in repetitive manufacturing, test equipment management, QI for external processing, inspection at the end of production process, and comparison of manufacturing types. So when we talk of inspection during production, then it is about the defects recording for an order, or it also controls the results recording by characteristics of an order. Nonetheless, it also includes inspection point processing or statistical process control (SPC), and the integration of QM and PP components. So over here in this particular topic, as you can see on the slide, we'll try to plan an inspection during production in the material master. So I'll make you go through the steps which are required for that. Also, we will create and save an inspection lot for an order. We will also record the defects, because in industry the defects can come anytime. So these defects have to be recorded in SAP. So recording of defects will be done. Apart from this, we will make a usage decision for an inspection during production. So usage decision, or UD. UD is a common term in SAP QM. So we'll also try to see how to make a usage decision for an inspection during production. So you may be into any manufacturing scenarios, how to use the QM functionalities for that is what we'll try to see. And as and when the defects occur, we need to record them and we need to maybe inform the vendor for that purpose if the scenario is like this. Now coming to the second one, that is QM in repetitive manufacturing, we'll try to see the processing and features of QM tasks in repetitive manufacturing. What do I mean by this is that SAP QM has a task structure. So what are the features of these and how the processing for the same can be done. Apart from this, we'll try to see how the inspection lots can be created for production versions. So we'll see what an inspection lot is, what is the process to configure it, and how that can be created in a real-time business scenario based on the versions of productions. Apart from this, what are the some specific features of quality management which can be used in REM, that is repetitive manufacturing? So we'll see the processing and features of quality management tasks in repetitive manufacturing in this particular topic. And when we end this, then we should be in a position to create inspection lots for the different production versions, and I mean you should be in a position to explain the features of quality management which can be used in a repetitive manufacturing scenario. And an important feature of repetitive manufacturing is that inspection during production are performed at regular intervals. So how to record this periodically is what we'll be seeing. Coming to the next topic, that is for test equipment management. Then we will see how the master data identification can be done for this. What are the different master data which are required and how they can be created, because they can be a prerequisite for any quality management process to run. So we'll see how the master data can be created. Apart from this, we'll also see the calibration processing. So for calibration processing also the master data may be required. So we'll see what that master data can be. We'll also see how to schedule the calibration. So how to do the calibration processing. So when we talk of master data, then test equipment itself can also be master data. So we'll see how is it possible to set it up. Apart from this, we'll try to do a performance of a calibration inspection, and we'll analyze the results, the results of previous inspections. So suppose there was some test equipment which was rejected. So how to analyze the results of those inspections and how to then perform a calibration inspection. Maybe from the point of view doing a preventive measure undertaking. And one important feature about test equipment is that it is managed as a master data record and it is calibrated at regular intervals. So maybe depending on the business industry, it can be an annual. The period can be annual. So on an annual basis, the calibration of the master data record can be done. We'll also try to see about quality inspection for external processing. So what do I mean by external processing? This can be a good question for you, so just ponder upon this question for now. So in this particular topic, we will try to see how the planning and processing of QI for an externally processed operations in an order can be done. So we may have an order in SAP, and order may have different components, I mean different line items from the SAP language. Then there can be some operations which are specified in the order, and some of these operations can be externally processed ones. So how to do planning and processing of QI for these operations? So effectively we will try to understand how to plan externally processed operations for quality inspection and how to implement quality inspections for external processing. So there may be some settings which will be required for this, and we'll try to understand how this can be done. Uh, uh, just to give you an example, suppose you are into an industry wherein you are manufacturing some shafts. So shaft is a common example which is used worldwide. So you are using a production planning order for manufacturing of shafts. So these shafts have to be sprayed. Now uh, you may be into some business, but you may not want to do everything which you want to produce your deliverables yourself. So you will outsource or let out some of the parts of your work. So whatever task you feel you are not competent to do, or you feel there can be someone better over there out in the world can do the task, and in that term, I mean, it will be a saving for you, it will be a business benefit for you. So you can outsource or subcontract. So subcontracting is an important concept which comes over here. So you can subcontract the task to some third party, and then in that case it will be an external operation. So how to carry out the quality inspection for that is what we'll be focusing over here. So suppose your company doesn't have its own paint shop, so it's not a good idea that you will end up setting up a paint shop to carry out just that task. Why not to outsource it to somebody else? So do it, and we'll identify a subcontractor. So maybe for a spray paint operation, then we can find a subcontractor. So whenever he will be done with his processing, he will be done with his manufacturing, he will ship the parts to you, and whenever you do a goods receipt for those parts, then you will have to do an inspection. So how to carry out QI for that part is what we'll be studying over here. Apart from this, we'll try to understand how the inspection can be done at the end of the production process. So whenever a production order is there, whenever production happens, then this has to be registered, and there will be a goods receipt for that production order item, which signifies that the part has been produced. Then how to plan and implement the quality inspection, which is at the GR or goods receipt stage for that production order. Apart from this, generally when the production happens, then that particular part may be categorized under different types of stocks. So it can be an unrestricted stock, it can be quality inspection stock, it can be a reserved stock for that matter. So you may put the things into blocked stock or unrestricted quality inspection. So how the postings to in inspection stock can be done is what we'll try to understand over here. Apart from this, whenever we receive the goods, then how an automatic quality inspection can be activated for those goods. So when you receive certain goods, there may be different scenarios, different conditions, different prerequisites, based on which you can decide to put certain material under quality, or free certain materials from quality inspection. So you may not end up doing 100% of the inspection. This may not be possible, so this may not be needed also. So how to set it up such that system automatically selects certain uh, lots for that. So for example, you set it up so that system may select every 50th lot. So every 50th lot based on the prerequisites will be selected by the system, and system won't allow the company to use it as it is. First it has to go through a rigorous quality inspection part, and whenever inspection happens and maybe the lot is accepted or partly accepted, partly rejected or fully rejected, so based on the outcome the usage can be done for that particular part. So how to carry out the settings which are required for activation of materials for QI and the inspection lots from the goods receipt, and how the controlling function can be adopted from the inspection lot. So when we do the settings for the inspection lots, then there will be strict control over there through which business would be in a better position, and it won't have to do some manual efforts to to manually select certain lots and then carry out, and because it also has a risk, because the defective lot may go unnoticed in that case. But when we do automatic setting based on the business requirement, then we may be able to put certain strict controlling procedures in place. And apart from this, we'll try to see what are the different manufacturing types. So I already posed a question before you that what's a discrete manufacturing type. So focus will be on discrete manufacturing type over here. So based on the different manufacturing types, QM may have specific features and inspection lot origin procedures. So we'll try to understand those features and try to use those features in the case of a discrete manufacturing scenario. Apart from this, we'll try to understand what can be the effect of the chosen order category in PP. So in production planning, we may have production orders of different types. So based on the category for an order, what effect can it pose onto the QM component for that matter? So we'll try to see what are the configuration which can be done for this, and how to carry it out all across. So when we conclude this particular topic, then we should be in a position to say what can be effect for that. For example, the types of manufacturing can be say a discrete manufacturing or repetitive manufacturing or process manufacturing. So there can be different types. So what can be the features for that? This is what we'll be seeing, and apart from this, we'll also be seeing what effect an order category can put onto the QM component. So let's get into action now, and now I will demonstrate before you how these things can be taken care of in SAP. So I will try to show some data to you, some settings which are required, and carry out certain operations, and end up creating certain documents which you can put as a reference, and maybe you can try setting out the procedures for that matter.